All around, so far, this is definitely my favorite episode of the show for a number of reasons, but just I think it's a standalone thing. I don't see any immediate problems, other than, problems that maybe the show's already introduced. I think I have two main questions for the show. The first one so far is, does Leia not remember this when she gets older, and why? And that hasn't really been touched on in this episode. The second one, though, which in some ways is maybe more important, the setup of when Anakin or Darth Vader and Obi-Wan meet in A New Hope for their quote-unquote final battle. The dialogue there, I think from Darth Vader is basically, when I left you, I was but a learner, or the learner. Now I'm the master, right? So how does that fit? And previously, before this show, you could make that work with the end of Revenge of the Sith. It worked out. It would work, right? So then introducing this now, it has to be readdressed. And I think this episode did a lot, or is at least trying to do a lot, to set up the idea that Obi-Wan is still at a higher level than him. Maybe not physically, and maybe he's out of practice, but psychologically and strategically and wisdom-wise, he's the master still. And they did that in a cool way, because they juxtaposed a old battle or old training session they had with this to send that message. Obi-Wan basically says to Anakin, until you overcome your need for victory or your insecurity, basically, you'll be a Padawan. And does a lot of work, that line. Maybe more than it should. Because you could take that to mean, Darth Vader doesn't really overcome that until he saves Luke at the end of Return of the Jedi, maybe. You could maybe make that argument. Which then, sets up the possibility with, no matter how this ends, his line, Darth Vader's line in A New Hope, still would work, with him believing, when I left you, I was but a learner. Because however this ends, he's going to maybe acknowledge that. I don't know. At the end of this show, we'll see. I don't know how explicit they'll be about it. I don't know how explicit they have to be after this setup, at least in my opinion, as someone who likes to think about storytelling, unless they ruin it somehow. But I don't know. So that made me, I don't know, there's probably something I'm missing, and if someone watching this who's deeper in than I am, because I used to be much deeper in than I am now, so I'm probably forgetting something, go ahead and comment and let me know what I'm missing, because I would like to go piece this stuff together again at some point. But to me, I think that's clearly at least what they're attempting, and we'll see how they work that out. The other concern I have, obviously now the story is going to move more Luke-centric, apparently. That could open up a whole other, I'm sure it does, and we'll see how they deal with that. But we're not there yet. Okay, the other aspect of this particular episode, I liked pretty much everything about it. I mean, you get the whole, they always go too far with the children and what they can do because they're force sensitive, and who Leia's parents are and how technically savvy she is, sort of. And I think that all works pretty well, but it's certainly no worse in terms of what they've done before in canon as established, I guess. So hey, but I still think she does they really got a good actor for young Leia here. Now, okay, so the other big reveal, spoilers, was the the new Grand Inquisitor, who becomes the new Grand Inquisitor in this episode, then ends up revealing to Obi-Wan that she was one of the younglings. I think I have to go back and look, but I think they probably showed her. They may have shown her in the first episode of this show. I'm not sure, but regardless, her actual reason for getting close to Vader is to kill him, to get revenge, and that's pretty cool. But she also doesn't trust Obi-Wan because he didn't protect her back in the day. That works really well. I think she handled that pretty well. I'm not sure why. I guess this would be the big question mark, why Vader didn't just outright kill her at the end. I don't get that, really, because she survived before. I mean, maybe he's trying to create something out of her doing that. I don't know. I get that the story they're using and that she needs to live, but I don't know if I understand why Vader would have held back. I'm not sure I'm supposed to. I'm not sure that they want anyone asking that question. But so there's that. But I did enjoy the reveal that, you know what, she's not just about, her motivation isn't just ambition or just impatience or anything. I mean, it is impatience, but it's really revenge. And now she's, of course, gotten hints about children and him learning about children and the location of one of them. So that's going to lead in nicely to the second, I guess, arc of this season. I would guess this next episode's going to transition both out and in, right? So yeah, my favorite episode so far. It really did a lot to kind of pull the show together in a lot of ways. So we'll see. A lot of it just rides on the fact that Ewan McGregor's still good. It was pretty cool seeing Hayden Christensen do Anakin again, even though, you know, he clearly looked older, even though they de-aged him to some degree. But it worked pretty good. I mean, it's cool to see him doing that character without Lucas's direction to see, and it's a little bit better for it, I would say. Although the first line I think he gives was extremely reminiscent of his former performance, and then after that, yeah, but it was good. I liked that. I would watch this episode again. So anyway, until next week in episode 6, we'll see what happens. Buy the things, buy all the things. Why not?